I have had a dream for many years that I could do all the photography with just one lens and one body. That would be so relaxing and would free me from carrying around a lot of gear, and it would allow me to concentrate only on the photography. But it is not possible. For professional work that I do, I really need a lot and lots of gear for different purposes. And since I do both photography and video, I need also LED lights, sliders, audio gear, microphones, recorders, etc, etc. But before we start talking about what's in my camera bag, please consider to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell so you get notified when there is a new video online. My channel is all about you getting to be a better photographer. And I post 2 videos a week, usually on Tuesdays and on Fridays. But let's start with the camera bodies. I usually carry around 3 bodies when I go to a photo gig. My main camera body is the EM1X, the new Olympus OMD series camera. And I have 2 other bodies with me, and both of those are EM1 Mark IIs. I usually use 2 cameras on my gigs, it depends on the gig. So the third one is a spare body. And for video work, my main body is the EM1X. Well, I'm filming this right now with the X. And also I use the EM1 Mark IIs for videos if I need several bodies. EM1 Mark II is still a very good and very solid video cam. Before the EM1X came, I had the original EM1 as a spare body, as a third body in my bag, just in case. Never had to use it though on my gigs after I got my EM1 Mark IIs, but back in the days when EM1 came, that was my main body. So I have now the third EM1 series camera as my main camera. For the bodies, I have some extra accessories. For the EM1 Mark II, I have a HDL9 battery grip. That's for my portrait work. It's easier to hold in your hand when you're doing portraits. And then for the other EM1 Mark II body, I have a Arca-Swiss plate under it, which is a special made for this particular camera or this particular model. And it can also attach a L plate so that I can have a better support from the tripod when I shoot vertical images. And for video work, I also have a rig for my EM1 Mark II. It's made by Small Rig and it's specially made for this model. And this is very handy and very good if I need to attach some extra lights or extra monitor or external recorder on my camera. And also it can, take the receiver for the lavalier mic that I'm wearing right now, the Rode lavalier mic. The Small Rig stuff, it's really well made, and if you do video with Olympus cameras, go check out their website. And then what about the lenses I use? As I said, I do a lot of variety of different kinds of photography, so I actually need quite a lot of lenses. And I need the pro grade lenses. That's the lenses that I mostly use. That's because I need weather sealed lenses, just in case. Because I need sometimes to shoot in very bad conditions and in rain. I can't tell the client that, sorry, it's raining, I can't do the photo shoot if it's needed. Sometimes, of course, the rain doesn't fit the thing that I'm doing. But for example, when I used to do weddings, I needed to have weather sealed cameras because if it was raining outside when the couple came out of the church, I need to be there in the rain with my camera gear. So no options there. So weather sealing is very important to me. And of course freeze-proof and dust-proof also. Those are really important features. And let's start with the prime lenses. I have several prime lenses, and 45mm f1.2 Pro lens is for my portrait work. It's a perfect focal length for portraits. It's the classical focal length for portraits. I very seldom take any portraits with the 1.2 aperture because it gives a bit too shallow depth of field. Okay, someone might think that why is that? Well, it does. Usually if I have used 1.2 aperture on my 45mm M.Zuiko lens, what happens, the ears of the model is not, or the client is not sharp. You have the sharpness in the eyes only. And usually people want to have a bit more depth of field in their portraits. That's my, that comes from my experience, what I have got feedback from my portraits. But of course, if you do more artistic portraits, then of course f1.2 is totally fine. A standard focal length, which is 25 millimeters in micro four thirds world, is a must for every photographer. It's a very handy lens for all around photography and also for portraits in those tight situations where you have not that much room and you cannot get further enough from the model. And very fast 2.8, no, a very fast f-stop 1.2 is really good in low light also. I use my 25 millimeter f1.2 lens quite a bit. It's a very, very good lens for all around photography. For wide angle, I mostly use my 12 to 40 millimeter Pro zoom lens. It's f2.8, so it's not the fastest, but it's fast enough in most cases. And that covers very well 12 and 17 millimeter lenses, which actually I don't have the Pro versions. And when I need a faster wide angle lens, then I probably use the 12 millimeter f2.0 or my 17 millimeter f1.8 lens, which both are very, very good in low light and in as a wide angle prime lenses. The only downside with those two lenses are that they are not weather sealed. There's nothing wrong with the image quality. I can make excellent images with those two lenses. I don't have the 17 millimeter f1.2 wide angle lens, prime lens, but I've used it a few weeks now. I borrowed it from the Olympus and made a couple of videos about the lens also. So if you haven't seen those, go and check them out after this video. But since I've been using it a bit now, I think I'm gonna need one because it's an excellent lens and we have the weather sealing on the lens. So that's why I might get one for myself. That's totally mine, that I don't need to borrow it. But let's see what happens. And then I have the 7 to 14 millimeter 2.8 wide angle zoom for those cases that I really need really wide angle of view. And that's an excellent lens for real estate photography, and there's also a video about real estate photography in my channel. I just made it last week. And then of course for astrophotography, which I don't do that much. I've tried it and done some star trails, etc., etc. But for those tight spots, the 7 to 14 millimeter is an excellent choice, and it's also a pro grade lens, so it's weather sealed. Then one of my most used lenses is the 40 to 150 millimeter f2.8 Pro zoom. That's a standard zoom, a telephoto zoom that every photographer should have. It has a very good reach up till 150 millimeters, which is a 300 millimeter lens in full frame terms. So the focal length, or not the focal length, but the angle of view is about the same as a 300 millimeter on a full frame body. I use it a lot in venues and parties and stuff like that where I'm shooting as an official photographer. I have one body which has the 40 to 150 millimeter and the other body has 12 to 40 millimeter f2.8. So I have covered everything from 12 millimeters to 150 millimeters, which is usually enough. Then of course I have a couple of fast primes for the late evening and the low light moments. I very seldom need anything longer than 150 millimeters, but I do have the TC14 teleconverter just in case that I need longer than 150 millimeters. It will be a 420 millimeter lens in full frame terms, and the aperture will be about f4 then. And that's plenty of reach for me, and never have used anything that's longer, or needed actually. That's why I haven't used it. Of course, I have tried the 300 millimeter f4 lens from Olympus, but actually I don't need one. I also have two Olympus flashes, the new FL700 VR and the I think it's FL900R. Those flashes are not mine. I have borrowed them from Olympus for occasional use. And I normally use a Godox Studio flashes, but recently, because the FL700R has a radio control triggering and the settings can be controlled from the camera, I have used it more and more. And then I have the receiver and the controller for the radio system, so I can also use the FL900R on my radio system too. So that might be the case that I might start using those a bit more, but I need to have some good soft boxes for those small cameras. That's something that I might need to buy, because my soft boxes for little speed lights are worn out, that I've used in the past quite a bit. For memory cards, I have Sandisk and Lexar, and I just got some new Lexar. I don't know if they were new because Lexar is not making memory cards anymore, but if you can get hold of them, they work very well with Olympus and also with 4K video and Pro Capture and 60 frames per second. I usually use 64 megabyte memory cards when I do photography, because that's plenty of room for my images in those. For video, I have a couple of 128 gigabyte memory cards that have even more space, and that's very good for video because the 4K takes and eats a lot of memory. So I need a couple of big ones too. But it's usually better to have several small ones than one big one. I always use 2 memory cards, so I always have a backup just in case. And of course, when you have several cameras, you need a lot of batteries. And Olympus provides a battery charger that has only one slot, so you can charge one battery at a time. Of course, every camera you get a battery charger, but then you need to have, you know, a big extension cord with many plugs to plug them in. So I just got 2 Henel battery chargers for Olympus, which I can charge 4 batteries at the same time. So I actually have 2 of them, so 2 and 2. So it's combined, I have 4. So that's very, very handy. And it has a percentage scale, so you always know how much juice there is in the battery. And I can also change the top plate on this, so I can charge the older Olympus batteries also with this. This is a very good product. And everything is stored in my Olympus backpack. And this is a very good backpack. If you don't have a backpack, this is something that I really recommend. All of the gear that I mentioned that I have, and something that I haven't mentioned, I haven't talked about the video gear that much, but this was concentrated on my photographic gear. And every gear is mentioned in a blog post that I made, or actually there is a whole page in my blog where I have affiliate links for all the gear that I have. And I've gained a lot of subscribers lately, which is really nice. Thank you for every one of you. This makes my whole YouTube thing worthwhile when I can help you guys to make you better photographers. And I do these videos in between jobs, which I have all the gigs actually, when I go out and shoot for clients. And then when I have so-called free time, I do these videos, and everything that I share in YouTube is free, of course. But if you want to support my channel, please use those affiliate links. If you buy anything from Amazon, you don't have to buy a camera or a lens. You just click that and go on from that, and I will get a small commission on your purchases, but you don't pay anything more than you usually do. So that would be really helpful if you want to do it. I'm not saying that you have to do it. If you feel that's not appropriate, that you don't want to do it, then don't. My content will be free forever on YouTube, so don't worry about that. I will still be making 2 videos a week on Tuesdays and on Fridays, even though if you don't use those links, it doesn't matter. I just love to do this, and I'm really glad that I have been helpful for so many, because I've got a lot of comments where people are saying that thanks for the content. And there will be a link in the description of this video where you can find all the links to the gear, all the Amazon affiliate links. But hey, thanks for watching, and bye for now.